It's very different.
It was a fun project to do, big project.
Big, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book.
Okay, we
Thank
ready?
you.
Okay, I call this meeting to order of the Brisbane Parks and Rec Commission on January 10th at 6:30. Roll call.
Jimenez here.
Boggs here.
Bonnie here, Bulligoff.
Fryer here.
Cavino present.
Needham here.
Marmion here.
Adoption of the agenda, deletions, additions, and changes. And I would like to suggest that we change the agenda up a little bit and put under new business A, YAC introductions and overview of programs, head of citizens communications, because we have them here tonight and we don't want to bore them with all the other things. Do you think that's a
Yeah, move them up.
okay?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes of November 8th.
I second.
Wait. There was something,
Oh, you want to change something?
I don't know, there was something there that I saw. Now I can't. Now, of course, I can't find it. You know what, just go ahead, pass it. I can't.
Okay, can we take a vote then? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, so moving on to new business, item A, Youth Advisory Committee introductions and overview of program.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? My name is Ricardo Monroy. I'm the Recreation Coordinator / Team Coordinator for the City of Brisbane. And I'm here to introduce the YAC, the 2017-2018 YAC. Some accomplishments so far that they've had was they helped with Day in the Park. They set out all the pies for the pie eating contest that we had. They threw last year, December, they threw the first ever Brisbane formal for all the teens in Brisbane. And we had 107 kids show up to the dance,
Wow.
which was
Wow.
amazing. And they also helped out with the Festival of Lights. They had a craft table while everything was going on. So the YAC. Starting with
I'm Caleb Fraser. I'm in 6th grade. No, 6th grade. 7th grade.
Hi, Caleb.
Hello, my name is Kate Conti and I'm in 8th grade. Hello, my name is Olivia Hare and I'm also in the 8th grade. Thank you. My name is Zuzu Lorenzen and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Avalon Ibarra and I'm in 7th grade.
My name's Cassandra Bousquet and I'm in 8th grade.
So that is our YAC. And Cassandra is gonna come and inform you guys of what our future accomplishments are gonna be and what we want to accomplish with this term.
Great.
We want to create a mission statement for future YACs and help with community events. We want to create more teen events and activities, be a voice for Brisbane teens, and really bring the teen community together. One idea we have of doing this is to turn the current library into a teen center after the new library is built. It doesn't have to be strictly a teen center all of the time. It could be a multi-purpose room with maybe senior activities in the morning and preschool story time, and then it could just be open to the teens after school, maybe just 3 days a week. But we really feel that the teens need a place to be and just hang out. So as uses for the old library space begin to be thought about, we ask that the teens be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Commission, did you have any comments, questions for?
I think it's
Representative?
exciting so many signed up.
Yes,
I think
thank
that's
you for
great.
your service.
Really did a good job.
Congratulations on the good work on all the events last year. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was really pleased to hear that the dance was a great success, your first really big event. Congratulations to all of you. And I am a little curious about your looking forward idea of trying to create a hangout space for teens when the new library opens and the old library space opens up for discussion of what we're going to do with it as a community. I think probably you may all realize there will be a lot of people wanting that sort of space, but I think that a request from the teens for some kind of involvement in that is certainly warranted. We don't really have, there has not been a discussion with this at the city council level or at our level about what is going to happen with the old library space. And do we have any idea of whose purview that would be under to begin that conversation? And is that something that we should have on our radar screen to reach out to the community to find out what the different interests are there and make some recommendations to City Council? How might that work?
Sure. So they're really not having that conversation at this point. We're still about 2.5, 3 years out from the new library, so I think it's a little bit premature, but I anticipate that once the new library project kind of breaks ground and starts to get rolling, that City Council will start having those conversations, and at that point it may come to the Park and Rec Commission to either initiate a community engagement process where we get input from the community about how they'd like to see that space utilized, but direction regarding that process would come from City Council.
Is that something that we might be proactive and say to the City Council, this is, and I had just heard in a meeting recently that that the new library was to open in 2019, which isn't so far away, although we haven't broken ground yet, so anything can happen. But is that something that we might be proactive and say, should we start this conversation? I don't mean at our next meeting, but is that something we should take a look at, or should we wait for the City Council to?
It might be something that the commission brings to our Park and Rec liaisons from City Council. It might be best to kind of start the conversation there.
With the liaisons.
Right, and then gather some direction from them about the process at that point.
Right. Well, I would just say to the YAC, you are the first ones to speak up in a public meeting about your interest in that space. So certainly we'll keep that in the conversation as the city moves forward. As you may learn, these things go rather slow, but I think it's an interesting idea, and you should work a little bit more on what your vision of what that might look like, so that when that conversation does start to happen in earnest, you've got your thinking about it in place.
If I may, through the chair, I was a big advocate for the teen center and was one of the instrumental people getting it going when we had the teen center back in the 90s. So stay on it. If that's what you want, really, really advocate for it, because it's a great thing, and I'm behind you 100%.
Anything else from commissioners? Any questions or comments for the YAC? Well, thank you very much for coming down, and congratulations on your first project, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you all.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, then we return to the agenda, and next up is citizens communication, and both. I'm sorry, did I miss something?
I just wanted to correct you on one thing.
Uh-oh.
We have had one person already come to a meeting, I think back in November, could have been October, and address us about interest in the library as well. And I didn't want to say that with the kids here,
And so
because
for
I don't
the
want to
record-
deflate, because it can be multi-use, but just wanted to say that we have that
I stand
one.
corrected.
Okay.
Thank you. Next up is citizens communication, and both Sharon and I received some citizens communication from a member of the community.
1 second, Kevin. That would be under written communications down
Oh,
the agenda.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Jumping ahead.
Citizens communication, we just
Nobody's here.
lost a citizen. Thank you. Huh?
She was here to listen to the question.
Okay. Okay, so no, there are no citizens communication. Old business subcommittee reassignments.
So I know with the current makeup of the commission that we have 3 terms that are going to be potentially rolling over, and that there may be a shakeup down the line. But regardless, with David and Sharon now on board, we wanted to get the kind of gauge their level of interest in the subcommittees and get them assigned to a couple. And so we thought that would be appropriate to do now. And if we need to realign subcommittee assignments down the road in a few months, we can address that at that time if there is a need. So that being said, I think doing an orientation with David and Sharon, we asked them to kind of think about where their interests lie and which subcommittees they would potentially be interested in serving on. And you have your list of subcommittees there. Really, any of the subcommittees where there's fewer than 3 members are kind of open for commissioners to jump onto, with the exception of the Trails Master Plan and the use of 280 South Hill sale proceeds, because we just have 1 commissioner at a time serving as the liaison for those. So I would just...
Don't we have an alternate in case they can't?
For those 2 subcommittees?
Okay.
No.
Just inquiring.
And this would also be a time for current commissioners or the
Yes.
older commissioners to reshuffle the deck
Yep.
if they're interested as
Exactly.
well.
Yes.
So how should we proceed here? Should we go subcommittee by subcommittee and,
Yep.
and hear people's interest?
I think so.
Okay. So the first subcommittee is Brisbane Derby Day in the Park, which is currently served by Bologoff and Jimenez.
I would like to stay on that one.
I would too.
There is a
Opening for one more.
opening for one more.
It'd be one that I'd be interested in.
Yep.
Sold. It's yours. Okay.
Okay.
Moving on, concerts in the park, which is Bologoff, Jimenez, and myself. I am interested in staying on that.
Me too.
I am as well.
So that's set. Events, Jimenez and Marmion.
I would like to drop that one.
Okay, so now we just have Marmion.
What are events?
Events, do you want to sort of
We haven't done anything.
talk about that?
Well,
That's not true.
Oh, yeah, we did
the
Star.
other
Star City Music
and
Festival.
the other festival, the Star City Music Festival, kind of falls under that one too now.
So that subcommittee, I mean, as you notice, we have specific subcommittees for specific events, but the events kind of larger bucket subcommittee is more for new events, like the Star City Music Festival. We did the Marina Kite Festival last year, so those types of things. We're constantly looking as a department at keeping our special events lively and new and fresh, and so I anticipate down the road that there will be more conversations about
And actually, we have a subcommittee meeting coming up, isn't it, at the end of the month?
next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
So who wants to be on that?
I'd volunteer for that one. I just don't know about making the meeting next week.
That's okay.
Because of the schedule.
That's quite all right.
Depending upon what day and what time I
Yeah.
may be able to.
Okay.
I can also work on that. I just won't be here next week.
Okay.
So question, will they still be meeting next week, and should I go to that one since I'm,
If you're available to go, then
it's on my calendar?
okay, then yes, and then maybe we can transfer
All right.
beyond that.
Is it okay if I'm working on an event, if I'm working as, like, so most of the events the Lions do.
Sure.
So is it okay if I was, let's say, working on the Star City Music Festival, if I'm also doing the Lions end on my stuff for that as well?
As far as I've been informed, yes.
Awesome. Then I'm really happy to do
Okay. Okay.
That would be a good fit for you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Festival of Lights is currently Bologoff and Marmion.
I'm going to stay on that.
Yeah, I'll stay on it.
Any other?
I I typically work it, I'm happy to be a part of the committee if it's, I mean, I'm usually doing sound.
There's an
at night.
opening, there's an opening.
You
Yeah.
won't need someone else.
Okay.
I mean, we can also have two if
Yeah, it doesn't
it's okay that
necessarily
a
have to be
subcommittee
three.
has.
Oh,
two.
cool. That's
Yeah.
fine then too.
So Sharon, that's a yes for you for Festival of Lights?
As long as it's okay with the two of them.
Sure. Fine.
Okay. Next is Habitat Restoration Day, which only has Bonnie on it at the moment. So that could use at least one more person. Do you want to talk a little bit about Habitat Restoration, what day and what the obligations are of that?
Yeah,
Subcommittee?
I think you typically only meet once or twice a year with
Yes.
open space and ecology. and
With open space.
with our department staff.
Right.
So it's there's not a huge burden
No,
in taking on that subcommittee.
No.
It's relatively minor.
and pick sites and times.
They
or
talk
whatever.
about the two habitat restoration days that we do per year. One is on Earth Day, the other usually Earth Day in April. The other usually falls in June, and then the lagoon cleanup day, which is in September.
Right,
So it's those events.
so it's not a big, busy,
No, because they usually just meet once or twice a year to kind of flesh out all the
So-
details.
you want to
I
be,
have a question, Bonnie. Are you part of that habitat that they're going to be doing on, Castanos Canyon? Are you
Yeah.
part of that? Okay. That they're doing right now, I guess, the native planting?
You mean on February 3rd?
Yeah.
So
Oh, no.
Open Space and Ecology is doing
They
that
did
with
that
San
on their
Bruno
own.
Mountain Watch.
they didn't talk to me about that.
Yeah, that, I just wondered, because when I saw that, I thought,
They're
why
doing a-
weren't we involved?
They're doing a special planting, so it's not traditionally one of the recurring habitat restoration days that we
Okay.
do. So Open Space and Ecology is working with San Bruno Mountain Watch on that one.
Okay. But they're calling it restoration.
Snoring.
Okay, well, that's why when I read that, I thought, well, did that get kind of taken
It's
away
really
from
more of a
us, or
planting.
what?
Dog doesn't snore, but my cat's.
Okay,
My cat doesn't snore, but he purrs really
okay.
So do we have any takers for
yeah.
Habitat?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do.
Okay,
work with
sure.
that.
I did it one year, and it's not a lot. Public art, which is Bonnie and myself.
I'd like to go back on that
Okay.
subcommittee. I
Okay.
was on it for a short time, and then I went off to make room for, who did I make room for?
You made room for
Karen.
me. You
For
were
you.
on 2 years that I was
Did I
off
forget
the commission, and you very graciously made way for me to.
I did.
And
Now Karen-
if you need an alternate, I'd be interested, just throwing it out there.
Recreation programs, Cavino and Jimenez.
That one I'd like to drop.
Okay. And recreation programs, do you want to just give us a quick overview of what the responsibilities are on that for the two new commissioners?
Sure. In the last couple of years, I believe the times that we've met have been in reference to like the needs assessment survey that we put out, as well as talking about the after-school program that's come up in the last couple of years. Anything else? Those have been the major things.
Yeah.
Just meeting periodically to talk about the scope of programs and services that we're offering and whether or not there should be additions, but it's really kind of just a subcommittee that takes a closer look at our various programs.
As well as the subcommittee looks at new programs, what might be new that we might offer to the community to fulfill the recreational mission for us.
Yep.
So we
I'll join
need
that
at
one.
least one more person.
David?
Yeah, I'll join
Okay.
that.
So we have two for that commission,
Okay.
for that subcommittee. Recreational facilities is currently Marmion and Cavino.
I'm gonna stay.
I'll be staying as well.
Okay.
And just as an overview for those members that are new, one of the facilities like the YAC members that were here saying, hey, we want a place, this is what recreational facilities looks at, what kind of spaces can we offer for recreation.
Yeah.
So a consideration for the library potentially might be something we would look after. So
Yeah.
just as an idea of exactly what we might do.
Mm-hmm. And we also occasionally do like off-site walkthroughs, like of the pool or Mission Blue or whatever it might be, facilities or trails that if the subcommittee has a desire to revisit those facilities and do walkthroughs. And make recommendations specifically around like budget time, so. And it can stay at 2 also.
Do we have any takers for that? I would maybe add myself to that.
You were on that one time before, weren't you?
Recreational facilities, I don't think I ever was.
Oh, okay.
I have something I would subtract a little down the line, so I would add myself to that. Senior
There's
services.
3, I'll stay on that.
I'm staying.
I'd actually like to drop that if that's okay. That leaves one opening for seniors.
I'd be happy to be on that.
Okay. Teen services, which is currently Teresa and myself, and I was actually thinking of dropping that as well. Teresa?
I was as well.
So it's wide open, and we just had a real successful
know,
presentation.
Okay, I'll go on.
All right.
But you need another person.
Oh, I have 3. I think I can take one more on.
Okay,
I
David.
mean, those teens were so enthusiastic.
They were, I
so
know.
excited.
And
I could get the
Renee.
teen center back.
And then lastly, trails development. And there is one slot open, and I was sort of interested in adding that. And that is currently Marmion and Covino,
Yeah,
unless there's
I
somebody
would
else who's
stay.
very interested in that.
I'm staying.
That's good.
Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would add myself to that.
Okay.
All right. So that takes care of subcommittee reassignments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Moving on next, use of funds for property near 280 South Hill. Do we have a staff report for that, or
We don't.
that's
all
to
you.
me? Okay, so we did have I'm the liaison, and we did have a meeting with the liaison from Open Space and Ecology. It was a rather informal meeting, and I pressed our interest in having some sort of funds applied to the Crocker Trail as part of the Crocker Trail development that would work alongside the paving of Crocker Trail and potentially public art along Crocker Trail. And that was well received. There was also an interest from Open Space and Ecology in developing a trail in hang on. I have to look at my
Firth Canyon.
Firth Canyon. Yes, thank you. And so that is so one of the things was thought about is how much would that cost, and would we do that in addition to Crocker Trail? And my understanding is that they've actually sort of done a walk, and they're trying to sort of get an assessment of what those sort of expenses would be. And once that is figured out, then we'll come back and talk about things for Crocker Trail. So that's where that conversation is.
May I ask a question on the Crocker Trail?
Yeah.
I was out there recently on the trail on a weekend, and I see that there are cars that are actually driving on the trail to get to an area that looks like where there's dog kennels.
Yes. And yes, and I know the answer.
Oh, no, I was
Actually, do know the answer because I saw that go up. I walk Crocker Trail quite often, and that meadow up there is a really potentially a nice place to be, not developed, but used as part of the recreational aspect of Crocker Trail. And so I saw that go up, and I went in there one day, and there's nobody around, but there were dogs barking and so on. I thought, oof, what's this about? And then I went down one day, and the people were there, and I actually met them. So that is currently being leased by the city to dog trainers. And I had a conversation with Stuart just yesterday, I believe, asking about the future of that. And I would imagine that in time, if Crocker Trail really became a really vibrant recreational trail, that lease would be up, and that would release that space to be part of it. Because as it currently is, if you're walking the trail and you turn the wrong way and there's no one there and the dogs start to get excited, it can be a little off-putting
Yeah, I think and part of the nature of my question was going to be both around the paving of it, but also just the safety aspect, because I was out there with my kids and there was like, we turned the corner and there was a truck coming down
Yeah, yeah.
the trail.
Yeah.
And based on the review of I think it's the decomposed granite with the polymer that was recommended, at least as part of the trail review that we did last time.
Yeah.
I think that would get eroded pretty quickly if there was car traffic on it. So that's why I asked of more of the timing of that and the use of the automobiles on that section, just because
Right.
I would assume that any investment that would be made would kind of get.
Yeah, and that's a very good question, and I just sort of independently have inquired about what is that. That drive-through is their only access
Yep.
to that. So
Understood. That's why I bring it.
Right. So I don't know how that will intersect, and is that a question that we can get the answer to? Is it planned? Is their lease such that it is timed so that when that paving happens, which is not going to be before 2019, that arrangement with the city would be up?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I did not know that there were cars driving on that portion of the trail,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'll follow up with Public Works and see if they have a better sense of that level of activity back there and how we might address that going forward with the resurfacing of Crocker Park Trail.
Yeah, and you raise a very good point about once that resurfacing is done, we really don't want traffic.
Right.
It's not really designed for traffic, so.
Yeah.
So it would be good to know
Exactly.
what the future of that is, so thanks for bringing that up.
And through the chair, if I may, and why wasn't that brought to our attention that they leased that out and that we're,
I never heard of it.
right, yeah,
Well, that's a good-
sometimes we hear about this stuff and we don't even know anything about that's going on, and it's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, that is a good question. I couldn't figure out whether that was private property, because I used to actually walk up through
Yeah.
that thing, and there's a little path that puts you back down on the trail. So I don't know. That's a good question. Could we get a report on that whole thing, just so that we know how it fits into the?
I'll see what I can find out.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
great.
just for future reference, anytime they're gonna do anything with our facilities or trails, I mean, give the Park and Rec
I don't know if I don't know who you spoke with, Kevin, whether or not if it's city property that was leased or
It's
if
on
it's
city
private
property, and it was leased. He told me it was that the arrangement was with Randy.
Okay.
in-
I'll see
in
what I can
Public
find
Works.
out.
I mean, it'd
So-
just be nice that we knew.
Sure.
And another thing, I would kind of like to know what is happening with our grant with Public Works, and possibly could we have Council Member Cliff Lentz, I know, who was instrumental in getting that grant together. I mean, just where are we? What's happening?
Yeah.
We can bring that back to the next commission meeting. And we'll have a
that would
staff
be good to
report
know as
update.
well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know that grant, what's the status of that
Yeah.
grant?
Yep.
Because just because we get a grant doesn't necessarily mean the money's in the bank.
Yeah.
And also, I know that grant falls short by, and I forget the exact
It's
number.
about $150,000.
Yeah.
150,000.
Yeah.
And so there does need to be some.
But I'll do some research
how
and
to-
find out where we are with the project and how we intend to bridge the gap between the cost of the project versus what we've been awarded in the grant. So we'll bring that back to next month's commission meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. Anything else on that? Okay, moving on to new business. We've done item A. Item B is assess date for goal-setting workshop, or assign date for goal-setting workshop.
Sure. I think we mentioned this at our last commission meeting about how the last time we did a goal-setting workshop with the commission was about 2 years ago, and that it's about time we do one again, especially because we're coming up on the budget cycle, and it would be nice to have the commission weigh in on that process as well. But I understand it's difficult to get everybody together with everyone's schedules. So I was just kind of hoping to dip our toes in the water and talk a little bit about availability so that we can identify maybe a couple of potential dates to conduct a goal-setting workshop. The last time we did it, I think it was just a couple hours, and we did it on a Friday afternoon here. City Hall is closed on Friday afternoons. that seemed to work for the commission at the time, but I don't know everybody's availability, and I know people travel for work, and so I just kind of wanted to put it out there so we could potentially identify a date and try to nail something down in the coming months. And I will also add that the City Council is doing their goal-setting session on February 25th. So if we do ours after theirs, then we would have, their goals and priorities, kind of have a sense of what their goals and priorities are so that we could potentially align ours with theirs. So,
Yeah, they're doing theirs on a Sunday.
yeah.
Sometimes we've done ours on the weekends, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've done it out at the marina and,
Mhm.
and stuff in the past.
One question, could you maybe help us to understand a little bit what the relationship between the goal-setting workshop and our assessing what we are going to ask for in the budget cycle? What's the timeline for that? Because the goal-setting workshop does have some impact on our thinking, or is that?
It could. I think when we did it, it did somewhat guide our budgetary asks to City Council. For example, one of our goals was Mission Blue, and keeping it as a high quality facility for reservations and public usage, and as a result of that, we identified that there were some needs in the facility for new chairs, some upgrades in the kitchen, some changes to the flooring, and so those were the budgetary asks that we made to City Council that came from that initial conversation about keeping the recreation facilities, high quality. So that would be one example. It doesn't necessarily have to be directly tied to the budget, but it seems like those conversations did lend themselves towards the budgetary asks for council.
Through the chair, didn't we get a 2-year budget though? So we
Yes.
really don't have any, we can't really do any asks specifically.
We can, because we did this 2 years ago, so we went through the first year.
Has
and
it
then,
been 2 years?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then last year we focused on CIP, so it has been 2 years, and this year we are submitting another 2-year budget. So the end of this fiscal year will end June 30th, and the new budget will start July 1st. Typically, we go to council around March or April, and then they kind of finalize their budget by May, June, before the new fiscal year.
So should we meet in March
If we can, that would probably make the most sense for the timeline.
after the council has had theirs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so honestly, the only time in March I could meet, like on the weekend or toward a weekend, would be like the weekend of March 9, 10, 11. I'm in town and I'm not committed, or at least not yet.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work for other people, that window?
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Are we talking about March 9th or?
March 9th?
Is that a Friday?
Yeah.
8th, 9th, or 10th? Sharon, I'm sorry, you said 8th, 9th, or 10th?
Yeah, I mean, I could do, frankly, I'm in town, I get home on the 5th, so I could meet any day that week through the weekend.
So Friday the 9th, well, how does that work for you?
I can make it work in the afternoon if that's the proposal in the afternoon on the 9th. I can make that work for me.
Can make that work for me as well.
Okay.
After, one
I'm looking at those that I know work during the day.
I would just have to take the afternoon off,
Okay.
so I could make it work.
Renee,
I have all the afternoons off.
you lucky duck. I mean, we could do a Saturday or Sunday if that's preferable to people too. So
I could make it work.
The 9th,
Yeah.
sold on the 9th. What time?
March 9th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In the afternoon, I think David said after 1, so I think in the afternoon would be best.
Okay.
2 o'clock?
2?
How many, we need how many hours for this?
I think we did it in 2 hours last time.
2 to 4?
I'd prefer a 3 o'clock personally.
3 to 5?
We can do
Yeah,
3 to
that would
5.
probably work better for me.
Agreed? Yep.
Great.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.
Here? Are we meeting?
Yeah, we can do it here.
Okay.
We'll do it in this room, actually.
And that's at 3?
3 to 5 on March 9th.
Okay, next up is reports, Chairperson, and I wanted to start out by welcoming Sharon, our newest commissioner, to the commission. We're really pleased to have you. You are one of the big leaders in the community with involvement in all kinds of organizations, so we're really happy to have you join us and to give us your insight and your perspective on things. I think we're really pleased with that.
Thank you.
So I wanted to start with that. And then I just wanted to bring one other thing up, and this is a little bit of an oddball thing, which I would like to get into our, as we move forward with our goal setting and priorities. I would like for us to start having a conversation again, and we've done this in the past, about the signboards, the 2 signboards, and moving them from paper to electronic. And I know as soon as you say that, many people in the community just go, yeah, no, never, never, because the image of an Amber Alert board sitting at the opening to our city is a pretty a horrible thought, to myself included. But 2 things. One is I'd like us to at least look into and have a conversation about what the real things that are out there, what are the real kinds of alternatives that are out there in terms of digital boards. And the other side of the equation is, and this is something I think the community is not terribly aware of, and the way the signboards are done currently are really out of step with the values of our community, which is environmental. That paper is not recyclable. That paper goes into landfill.
I didn't know
The
that.
dump. If we think about 10 years, a decade of that, we're talking about tons of paper going into the landfill. And also, when storms come up, as we've had now, it gets ripped off and it gets thrown to, so it's litter. And I know it's charming, and it was even more charming when they were hand done. We're not doing them by hand anymore. But it doesn't really match the values of this community, which are about the environment. It is bad for the environment. And the third part of it is that it's, in looking into it, it's quite expensive. Mm-hmm. The cost of that paper every year is around $7,000. So if we, maybe we won't convince the community as a whole, but what if we took 5-6 years worth of that paper expense and applied it to some really state-of-the-art, really wonderful electronic, digital signboard. Let's use the word digital and take electronic out of it. I think the signboards they're a really important a center of communication for our community. And I know that as much as anybody, because live at Mission Blue, when it goes up on there, I see a spike on our website for ticket sales and stuff. So it's a really important center. I think it can remain a really important a center if we change it in a way that keeps that value of being the town newspaper, the town crier. So we can't have a conversation about it here because it's not on the agenda. I think probably the first place that would start to be talked about would be in the Facilities Subcommittee. Is that correct? Which I just got on that subcommittee. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up, and to any community members who are listening, please don't throw your hands up in horror. If we can't do better than an Amber Alert sign, then we won't. But if we could examine what really wonderful things are available, I'd like to at least have that conversation. Okay, subcommittees, subcommittee meeting reports, Festival of Lights wrap up.
Renee?
Oh, okay, now I have to recall what we talked about.
That's why I gave it to you.
I don't know if I have any notes here. Okay, help me, Miss Noreen. Well, we talked about, it's kind of right there too in our minutes that we just had here too, about snow. We're going to continue with the snow globe. We talked about incorporating Santa Claus a little bit more as a seating area, and having children come up to him, maybe put him over with the activities. We talked about doing something a little bit different. We've had a little hesitant from the last couple years, even though that they have gone ahead and done the performances, BDW and the Lippman Choir, maybe changing it up and not doing that next year, and doing more of the Christmas tree and the activities over in the gazebo area. And of course, keeping all the cookies and the hot chocolate and so forth like that. But just doing it more as the tree lighting and the caroling area. And maybe having some other activities besides the snow globe, maybe an ice skating rink. Putting down there on, we have those type of areas too. Doing it more of a family type of gathering down there. This was brought up, and nothing to reflect on you, Sharon, or anything. It's been brought up several different times, and we brought it up during the derby and stuff. Possibly getting our own PA system, so, because we do have other events, and being able to use it, and then we have more control of what we're doing with it. We brought that up. Is there, am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
I think we were all really pleased with the turnout this year.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was really well attended, and
I think it was more people than I'd ever seen.
yeah, Bonnie and I had both that moment of like panic at the park, like where is everybody? Nobody's
Exactly.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, it's because people were caroling this year, and there's people caroling every year, but there's those scatterers that come to the park and they don't carol, and they just kind of wait for everything to happen at the park. And there was nobody at the park
That's
this
right.
year, and we're like, oh gosh, what did we do? Because nobody's coming this year. But I don't know if it was the draw of free Santa hats up at Madhouse, or everybody just wanted to carol. But it was so wonderful to see everybody together caroling down visitation. I mean, that's really what we envisioned for the
Right.
event, and it was so well attended this last year, and I think it really kind of made us all very excited about what we were doing, and the community, I think, all really had a fantastic time. So I think, thank you to the subcommittee and to the staff and to all of the volunteers that make the event a success, and the fire department, and Kevin and Renee's fantastic MC skills. But I think it was a good turnout this year.
Well, I really want to thank the staff, because your staff really puts it together, and they're there till 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, putting things away. Well, the rest of us just all leave. So really, I want to say thank you to Terry O'Rourke and Teresa.
We'll be sure to pass it on.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Is
Did
that
I
it?
hit it all? Did I hit it all, Bonnie?
Yep.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
So look for better and improved next year.
I thought the Santa hats was a really nice touch.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, that was great. Setting subcommittee meetings. So we have a new set of subcommittees. Brisbane Derby Day in the Park doesn't need to meet yet.
No.
Concerts in the Park, are we about ready to start that cycle?
Maybe we should.
I think
Renee?
we should. We need to start nailing
Yeah.
bands down.
Yes.
So do you want to find a date for that?
February?
February's fine. Yeah.
You tell me when.
Wednesday nights are good for me.
Okay.
Or no, I'm gonna nix that. I'm gonna start my ceramics again. Sorry. Monday or Tuesday probably.
I don't care.
We're talking about the first week of February?
That would be great.
Do it Monday?
Monday the 5th.
Monday the 5th, and I know you have a late start time. What works for you?
5:30 or 6 is great.
5:30.
Okay. Okay, events. Do we need to have the events subcommittee meet? Or-
Well, they're
we're
meeting next week.
Oh, you're meeting
with
next
the
week.
city council liaisons regarding Star City Music Festival.
Okay, all right.
And that's the 18th. The 18th at 5:30.
Thursday, yes.
Okay.
And where?
Festival of Lights.
Here or upstairs?
It's here in the large conference room. Yes.
Festival of Lights doesn't need to meet.
No.
Habitat Restoration Day, it doesn't need to meet. Public Arts does not need to meet. Recreation programs. That does not need to meet.
Not unless you want to.
Recreation programs? No. Okay. No need? Okay, we're just breezing along here. Recreational facilities.
I think we should meet just because, as again,
You're pointing at me.
well, it wasn't brought to our attention, all the maintenance that's going on over at the pool.
Okay.
So I just think we should probably look at our facilities, because I didn't know that was happening until,
And would it be that coming out of that subcommittee, there may be some things that we want to draw the commission's larger attention to in terms of the budgetary cycle?
correct.
Okay.
And when,
and if you wanted to start the conversation about signboards, that's where that.
Yes, I do want
Yeah.
to, do want to start that.
and I know one other area we need to really look at is going over there to the sunrise room. We need to go
We can meet there if
there and
the scheduling of that subcommittee.
Okay. What would be a time?
what do you have, Lyle?
What's your schedule like? Yeah. Start with you.
Let me know what date and I can take a schedule. I have unfortunately many calendars I have to look at, so.
Well, are you out of town any time this month, or
This month, no, but next month, yes. So if we want to do it,
do it this month?
do it this month.
Last 3 days of January, do any of those work for you guys? That's the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. 4 days.
You have Monday? Oh, nobody works on Monday. Do you guys work? It's Martin Luther King Day.
Yes.
Oh, you work?
I do work, yeah.
Okay.
29th or 31st would work for me.
Renee?
Ooh. Monday or the 31st? Probably the 31st. January 31st?
Uh-huh.
That would probably work better for me than the 29th.
Okay.
What time?
I'd have to do it after 5.
5:30?
Fine.
5:30?
Yes.
5:30 on January 31st.
5:30, January 31st.
Do you want to meet at the sunrise room?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a question, given that it was brought up for the rec programs, will there be budgetary either constraints or impact to any of those things as we talk about goals, or?
There could be. We could talk about it at our goal setting session.
Okay, we
Yep.
just talk about it then,
Mhm.
if we need to.
Yep.
That sounds
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I know.
That's what I was
I
gonna
know.
Yeah.
Senior subcommittee. Bonnie, does that need to meet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's no changes.
Teen services. That's David and Renee.
Oh.
Did you guys want to meet? Get oriented?
I don't know what I signed up for.
Well, it's, teen services,
The
kind
meeting,
of meeting with the YAC. I don't know when are they meeting again?
They meet weekly on Wednesday evenings usually, but this is just if you want to schedule a subcommittee meeting between now and our next meeting. If there's nothing pressing, then we'll revisit subcommittee meetings at our next commission meeting. So,
It might be kind of nice to go to one of their meetings
Mm-hmm.
and just see what they're
on their
doing.
agenda.
Yeah,
We can do that.
okay. I just,
Is that an official subcommittee meeting if we go to attend one of their meetings? Yeah, that's
Kind of.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
Do you know when they meet? What would you say?
Wednesdays.
I think they've been doing every Wednesday.
They haven't really.
Okay.
Well, can they?
Do you,
Why don't I find out from
Okay.
Ricardo when their next meeting is, and then I'll check in with you guys.
That would be
It'll
great.
always
Yeah.
Wednesday, so
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
it's usually around
6.
6 o'clock.
Okay. Once you let us know, we can
Yeah.
coordinate that.
Yeah. That'd be good.
And lastly, trails development. Which,
I think we would meet after, if Noreen mentioned that the commission would come give us a report of potential, where the grant's at.
right,
After that, we would maybe have some more conversations. So most likely February we would meet.
I agree. Okay, and trail master plan and use of 280 South Hill, that's not, we don't need that. Okay. Next up is commissioners. Do any commissioners have comments or something they want to? No? None?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay. So we're on to staff program report.
Okay, good evening. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to classes and programs. Wanted to just update you guys on the winter camp. We did 2 weeks of winter camp over the holiday, and the first week was a little slow. I think Christmas time, everybody takes their kids and goes somewhere. So we had an average of about 14 kids a day. And then the week of the new year, the 2nd through the 5th, we had about 21 kids. So it went well. They did a field trip each week on Wednesday, so they were off-site, which was nice. We have our baseball registration has opened, and the T-ball is slowly, I think we've got about 4 enrolls in the T-ball. Pinto's about 8, and the Mustang, which is the higher level, the older kids, they're full. It filled up within probably an hour, which is usually the case. We also have a new futsal league, which is soccer indoors, I believe, correct? And it's 7th and 8th grade, and it's new, and so we're trying to get the word out. Right now, I looked today, and we still don't have anybody enrolled, but it doesn't start until February, so we'll see how that registration goes. Our usual Shirley Lim art classes for the kids, 3 sessions, 2 classes per session, filled up within 2 minutes. Every single time. So
I've seen some of those paintings at the library. They're wonderful.
yeah, oh yeah,
Thing with
she
the
has
kids
a.
was just
It's up until
wonderful.
the end of the month, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
great.
anybody wants to go look, they do it every year, I think. So yeah, the kids love her. She's great. There's also the collective camp with Dawn David. She's got her boot camp that she does every morning at 6 a.m. out at the park. She also started a Maya yoga class, which is on Wednesday mornings. Instead of the park, they do Maya yoga at the community center. And then Thursday evenings, they also do the yoga at the community center. She's also started a new class called Fly. It's a 4-week class. It's on Mondays only. It's $20 a class, and it starts on January 22nd. You can go online to get the description. I didn't quite write all that down, but her classes she always has something new she's coming up with all the time. So, and people love her classes, so they go well. They do well. The Club Rec, we had some enrichment programs that we added recently, a couple months ago, and they went over really well, so we're going to do those again. They're going to be starting next month, I believe, and they are jewelry making, textile and fiber art, and art exploration. They are during the day, during the Club Rec, for about an hour, and they go, I believe they go for about 4 or 5 weeks every Wednesday for like an hour. And then we have a one called Challenge Islands in their STEAM classes. So they're going to be teaching all of the, I never get that. Say it, Nori.
It's science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
Because it used to be STEM, now it's STEAM. So they added the art in there, which is nice. So those will be starting at the end of the month. And then we have our one-day Club Rec camp on the 22nd. I believe it's Monday the 22nd. I believe the teachers are out, so we decided to go ahead and have a one-day camp for the kids. Right now, I think there's about 12 kids enrolled in that. For parents, have to work. It's not a holiday, so we'll see if we get any more kids for that. And then there's a lifeguard certification class, which is beginning on March 23rd, going through the 25th, and it's ideal for those looking to secure summer positions up at the pool. It's a Friday from 6 to 10 and Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So those are all the good things we have going on in the winter time.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know that for the after-school rec program, one of the things we had voted on was adding more staff. And I think I've heard that some staff has left. So just wondering what the staff change is there.
We have had additional staff up there, 3 additional staff.
3 hires then?
Yeah.
New hires?
3 new hires.
Okay.
Yes. And I was going to share with the commission that our new senior rec leader for the Club Rec program just cleared through her background, and she starts on Tuesday. Her name is Sarah. We're very excited to have her on board. We'll let her get settled a little bit, and then I'll bring her to the commission and allow her to introduce herself and talk a little bit about her vision for the program. But she has a child development background. She's a fairly recent college graduate. She has a lot of experience working in other cities. She ran the summer camp portion of the summer camp program for the city of Pacifica. She also works currently for the city of Burlingame and the city of Millbrae, working with their teen advisory committee and their seasonal break camps there as well. And then she helps the city of Millbrae with their admin. So she brings a wealth of experience and a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and so we're excited to see what she can bring to the after-school program. So she's on board on Tuesday. She won't really be up at the program until later, towards the tail end of next week and then the following week. So,
And this is the Club Rec program?
Yes.
And on a related topic, how is the hires, how is the staffing for the after-school program at the grade school? That's coming up.
For preschool?
For the, that's what you were just talking about?
Correct.
Not,
yes.
Not for the middle school?
So in addition to Sarah, 4 new hires at Club Rec.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So how many altogether? 5, 6?
Ooh. It varies from day to day based on availability. 6, 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we also have some of our preschool staff that have been picking up hours working the after school programs. So we have 2 of our preschool teachers that have been helping out with Club Rec as well. So.
I do want to say one thing, though. We have let the people that are on the wait list know that it's not so much a issue of staffing at this point as it is an issue of space. Mm-hmm. So we do have more staff now, which is great, but we still can't add people because we don't have enough space, and we still don't have usage of the elementary school. And so it's great that we have more staff for what we have available now, but we can't add people from the wait list. We just don't have the space.
Mm-hmm.
But that will change after this summer because did this pass? Is this, where is that at?
That's another topic of conversation that we can start to address at the Rec Facilities Subcommittee.
Okay.
But if the commission wants a kind of a quick overview of where we're at.
Maybe for the new commissioners particularly, just to bring
Sure.
up to speed.
So we've been talking about potentially procuring a larger sized, newer portable for the after school program. I've been working with Stuart and with the superintendent of the school district as well as the BES principal to kind of identify what our options are, and I've also done substantial amount of outreach and research with various portable companies and vendors, and I will say where we're at with the process is that we're not going to be able to get something in place by next summer for the start of the school year next year, and as far as a new modular is concerned. So at this point we're drafting an RFP to go out to bid for a temporary unit, a secondary unit to place on site that would allow for a secondary space. And our thought process is that for the 18-19 school year, yes, fall through spring of the next school year, that we would utilize 2 modulars, the existing one and one that we would rent or lease for a year, which would allow us the time to go through architects and plans to have a custom new modular placed at the existing site for the 19-20 school year, with construction taking place during that summer, as to not interfere with the year-round school programming. So,
Thank you.
in a nutshell.
And it'll stay at the same location on that blacktop.
Currently, yes.
Okay, for the 18-19.
Yes.
Okay.
So the change is that just the timeline was too tight
Yes.
for us to
Yes.
do all the research and stuff to actually change it up this summer, and it has to be
That's
done this
correct.
summer when the schools.
Yeah, and we're not willing to interfere with the school while they're in session, or not have a location to be offering the after-school program if construction were to happen during the school year. So we're limited as to when we can make it happen, and so we feel like this would at least buy us a year, but give us a temporary solution until we can get something permanent and customized in place.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll also mention real quick on my list, we're doing a call for artists for the art gallery here in City Hall in the conference room. So we're accepting applications from artists to showcase their work here. So if anybody is interested, let us know in Park and Rec, and we can send an application to you. Also want to give a little plug for upcoming events live at Mission Blue. The first concert is next Saturday evening, January 20th. And coming up, we talked a little bit about the planting day in Castaños Canyon coming up on February 3rd. That is, I believe, 10 to 1, 9 to noon. I don't remember the specifics, but I think it's 10 to 1. Taking place at Castaños Canyon with San Bruno Mountain Watch and Open Space and Ecology. And then that evening, February 3rd, is the Artist Evening of Sharing at Live at Mission Blue. So those are our upcoming events.
I just wanted to add, live at Mission Blue, we do open on the 20th, but then on the 25th, we have our school program as well. And just to get the word out, and we're trying to get the word out that parents are welcome to come to the school program as well.
Yes.
If they'd like.
Thank you.
Is that it for program reports? Any questions?
No.
Okay. Moving on to written communications. When I jumped the gun much earlier in the meeting, so we did get a written communication. It was sent to Sharon and to myself as well. I thought maybe Sharon might just introduce it, and then I would maybe say a few words about it.
Yeah, at the senior luncheon, while I was being a lion with the seniors, Anya Miller came up to me and started asking me or discussing some stuff about the budget and Park and Rec, and I honestly, at that moment, had just been told about the Brown Act, and so I was somewhat terrified and said, why, I'm busy doing Lions things right now, could you just email that to me? So she did, and that's what we have.
Yeah.
So
Okay, and everybody has received a copy of this?
I believe
I would say I got it as well. I would make a few comments on it. It does seem to indicate that we had not addressed this in the past, and actually looking back over the record, we did. A little over a year ago, we started through this process. This concern was brought to our attention. It went to subcommittee. It was part of the needs assessment. And so this seems to start that process all over again. In the communication, and there are some numbers attached to it, the thing that gave me some concern, and I don't want us to get into thinking about this way about programs, it sort of pits teens against toddlers and from a budgetary paradigm. And I don't think that we should ever think about our programs in terms of, well, they're getting too much, we're not getting enough. So it's sort of a win-lose a scenario. The budget added the skate park in it, which really made things look lopsided, like we're spending tons of money on teens. But if we had gone back about 3 or 4 years earlier, then we would have had the playground sitting in the budget. And so this is not something that we can discuss here because it's not agendized. I wanted to sort of put my comments forward. We could, if the commission feels this is something we want to revisit and have another round of conversations about it, we could agendize it. It seems to me a little bit like like we're chasing our tail. What are your thoughts? Did we want to agendize this?
Well, I want to revisit when we sent out our poll, to the community. How much of a response was there from the community that what she's asking for was a real need? I don't recall what those. I mean, because
here now we are getting into a conversation, and so that's
We're not supposed to.
we're not supposed to do that. So we can agendize this, and this is these rules of the road, because I'm with you and I want to start that conversation. But do we really want to do that? Do we want to put it on our agenda and re-examine this, or do we want to just?
To the chair, if I make a recommendation, what's being discussed in here has to do a lot with recreational programs. So I think it first should go to the subcommittee, who can then bring information back to the larger committee after the program subcommittee meets. Which right now we've slated potentially for a meeting in February after we've talked through and gone through our budgeting cycle goals for the next budget. So again, as you've mentioned before, this topic has come up before. We have looked at it again, but again, now that we're going to have our goal talks again, this can be fresh on our minds when we talk about it during the goal setting and as well as a follow-up recreational program subcommittee afterwards.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation about it.
Of course, that is the route that we traveled the last time, and so we are a little bit in a circular. But I think in order to make sure that the concern, this community member's concern, and she is an important member in our community, we will revisit it in that subcommittee. Is that agreeable to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Commission calendar.
All I have written down is the grant update and status that we want to bring back and talk about. What was it?
It's the resurfacing for Crocker Trail.
And about that kennel.
Are we bringing?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I did want to bring one thing to everybody's attention, and I just want to make sure everybody wants to go ahead and have our meeting on the 14th next month on Valentine's evening. If everybody needs to go be with their sweethearts on that night, we can switch it to the next Wednesday. I've already checked and it is available. But either way, I'm fine with whatever. So it's important to some and not important to others. So I just want to put that option out there.
Any thoughts on that?
It's not something we really celebrate. No.
I agree.
My wife's in New York, so.
Okay.
I'm free.
Okay.
Okay.
We have no sweethearts.
You know.
Why we're all on
Excited to spend Valentine's with all of you.
I feel a love.
Everybody wear red. Okay, make it a small meeting and we'll have a little party.
We'll make it short. In terms of the commission calendar and coming up this spring, we are on that on-ramp for trying to assess what we would propose to the city council for the new budget cycle. And is there some piece of that puzzle that we can begin at the next commission meeting?
Yeah, so we're going to do our goal setting on March 9th. So our commission meeting will be the following week. So if we wanted to have an agenda item on the budget at our February meeting, we could do that. And if it would be helpful for the commission to revisit our last budget.
Actually, I think that would be really, really helpful.
Okay.
Just to look at,
to
understand, because numbers can be very overwhelming, and that would also be valuable for new commission. Before we decide what we want to ask for, let's have a look. I think that's a very good idea.
So just so I'm making sure I'm clear, maybe it would be helpful to summarize what the budget is currently,
Yes.
and then what the asks were to city council last time we did this process.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, does that sound good to everybody?
When will we get that?
We'll agendize it for our February 14th meeting. You'll get it in your packet the week prior.
Oh, so what, is that when we'll also get the previous budget to look at?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. If you want it sooner, Sharon, I can send it to you.
cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else for the commission calendar? We may come up with something between now and then. Okay, very good. Anything else? Then this meeting is adjourned at 7:40 on January 10th. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.